We are getting closer and closer every day to JPEGMAFIA finally dropping his highly anticipated 5th studio album. However, it is not a Peggy album cycle without a little bit of controversy. After announcing a North American tour set to begin in a little over a month from now, JPEGMAFIA has once again pissed off some of his fans by doubling down on his working relationship with Kanye West. Now, Peggy has only started working with Ye recently. They first linked up just a few months back. However, the conversation regarding their partnership has been sparked up once again after some people have had some interesting reactions and reviews towards JPEGMAFIA's recently released single, Don't Rely on Other Men, dropped of course to build up hype towards the upcoming record. Peggy believes that people are starting to judge his music based on who he works with rather than the actual quality of it. And this entire debate regarding Peggy working with Kanye has really created an interesting dynamic between JPEGMAFIA and his fan base, with his entire subreddit shutting down completely over this matter. Aside from all the parasocial shit, I still am extremely excited to hear what Peggy has been working on, and I especially have high hopes for this upcoming project after hearing the latest single. While we don't know too much information about this record, we got two potential names that may or may not be the title for the album, and a decent idea as to what features may be on the project. So, as we inch closer to the final phases of this album rollout, let's discuss what we can expect from JPEGMAFIA's upcoming solo record. Now, in my last video talking about this upcoming JPEGMAFIA album, we discussed how he came forward on New Year's Day and told the fans, look, I need more time. He wasn't able to put the project out in 2023 as originally promised with the 3 albums in 1 year plan, and said, just give me a little bit more time. Usually when an artist says they need a little bit more time, I'm like welcoming of that, because I prefer them to totally get their vision in this project and put out an album that they believe is their best work, even if it takes a little bit more time. But with Peggy saying on January 1st that he just needed a little more time to finish the record, and it now being June, almost July as of the time of this filming, I'm going to go ahead and infer that there was something else that caused a further delay of this project releasing, and I think that is due to Peggy's time working with Kanye and Ty Dolla $ign earlier this year with the Vultures projects. The infamous link-up occurred in January of this year, which we last talked about in my previous JPEGMAFIA video. But what we have learned since then is that Peggy not only did some production work on the first Vultures record, but also the second. A fan actually ran into Peggy back in early March, and during their interaction, they would ask him, like, yo, have you done any work on Vultures 2? To which JPEGMAFIA would reply, too much. Like, I've done too much fucking work on that project. And aside from just dedicating the time to work on those Vultures tracks, Peggy also said in some recent tweets, which we'll cover later on in this video, that working with Kanye during this whole Vultures experience really taught him some stuff about being a better producer. So I think it's safe to say that no matter how fans feel about it, Peggy's time working with Kanye under these Vultures projects definitely led to some album alterations and, as previously stated, possibly a delay. On March 6th, actually, when Peggy was performing at the Pitchfork Music Fest in Mexico, he would play his mixes of 2 Vultures songs, Fuck Some and Paid, which Peggy's version of Fuck Some is so much better than the one that was released. But my point in bringing that up is that I could definitely see Peggy putting these unused Vultures mixes that he did on the physical releases of his upcoming album, kind of like bonus tracks in a way. He would also play a 20-second snippet of a brand new track at the festival back in March, which we now know as the single Don't Rely on Other Men. We'll talk about that track in a little bit. Anyways, after performing in April, Peggy would be pretty quiet on socials throughout the entire month of April, except for popping in every once in a while and just dropping a pic of himself in the studio with other artists, teasing their contributions to his upcoming album. First, he'd post a picture of himself with Lil Tecca, and it's not confirmed that, like, he took a picture with them and posted it. It's for his upcoming album, because for this Lil Tecca post, like, the caption was with the Vultures. But I think it is worth mentioning, because if we could look back and be like, oh shit, that Lil Tecca picture was like for the album because Tekka's on this track. Like, I think that's kind of cool. 2 days after the Tekka pic, Peggy would once again post on Twitter, this time in the studio with Mark Rubier, which is like an awesome fucking collab that I never thought we would actually get. I really hope we do get to hear whatever they worked on there. But if fans didn't already assume from Peggy posting these pictures in the studio, he would go ahead and post on the 25th on socials some fire-ass fit pics with a keyboard, saying that he is currently working hard on music. We can go ahead and assume that Peggy worked hard throughout May on the upcoming album as well, as the next time we would really hear from him was in June when he would be featured on this track Junebug by Raveena Aurora. Also in June, on the 1st, Peggy would go ahead and post some pics in the studio with Denzel Curry, longtime collaborator. Now Denzel's got a project on the way, King of the Mischievous South 2, which I'm extremely fucking hyped for, but he already released the track list for it, and it appears as if Peggy is not featured. He may have production credits, that he could have done some production work on the project, but perhaps this picture was to get fans thinking about maybe Denzel is featured on the upcoming JPEGMAFIA album. We will see. The biggest news out of this entire rollout so far for JPEGMAFIA's upcoming project to me comes on June 12th, when Peggy officially announces a brand new North American tour, the Lay Down My Life Tour, spanning across North America with 29 dates scheduled as of this recording. In his tweet announcing the tour, Peggy would say that more announcements were on the way for that week, but this announcement of the tour was huge for a few reasons. Number one, this confirmed that the album is super close to dropping. Most artists go on tour to promote their new album and play the new tracks live. So with this announcement, it was like, okay, we got the dates. It's likely that the record's going to drop before August 7th with the first show in California. Now, Peggy did drop LP, his last solo album in 2021, mid-tour. So we could see another situation where JPEGMAFIA, as a perfectionist, who literally with that last solo album, like months after LP dropped, he kept changing the mixes of certain tracks. We could see a situation where he keeps making those tiny alterations even when the tour begins, and then finally he reaches a place where he's happy with it, fuck it, drop it. But with Peggy responding to fans on Twitter saying that the album is dropping any day now, kind of makes me believe that this project is coming before the tour begins. My personal prediction is sometime in July. Now, another reason why this tour announcement was such a big deal in my opinion was that we now have two potential titles that may or may not be the name of this upcoming album. Our first potential title is, of course, the name of the tour, Lay Down My Life. That could maybe be the name of the project. However, the other potential album name comes from a description of one of the tour date stops in Toronto. It reads this: JPEGMAFIA returns with a new album and worldwide headline tour titled I Am Peggy. Peggy is an iconic nickname synonymous with JPEGMAFIA's identity as an artist, so it would be kind of cool to have that nickname in the title of one of his albums. With that being said, I am not too crazy about the album name I Am Peggy, but like I said, none of these are confirmed. We really don't know until JPEGMAFIA officially drops or announces the album name himself, so ultimately this is just speculation. I mentioned how in the tweet announcing the tour, JPEGMAFIA would say that more announcements were to come that week. And the other announcement would be a brand new single readying fans for the upcoming album titled Don't Rely on Other Men featuring Freaky. The track was released on July 17th, and for those unfamiliar, JPEGMAFIA and Freaky go way back. In 2015, they put out a collab album together titled The Second Amendment, and they have some great fucking chemistry together. On that album, The Second Amendment, of course, is the iconic JPEGMAFIA track, I Might Vote for Donald Trump, something that is pretty important to the overall trajectory of his career. One of his early little hits, was kind of a big deal with the underground rap scene. It's just really cool to see them reunite and work together once again after all these years. And the track, in my opinion, is a fucking banger. It samples this piece of dialogue from the TV show Succession, and all throughout the track you hear this phrase, I hear you went down. with Down repeating and matching this drum pattern before the big beat drop on the intro. It's a really cool use of the sample. You got some classic fucking Peggy lines in this track as well. Whether it's the "me and my bi bitch, we be in bipolar together," like that was fucking iconic. And then "stay in your crib with your gamer pass," like it's JPEG, it's classic JPEG Mafia. I mentioned too on the intro how JPEG Mafia's relationship with some of his fans, like the dynamic's kind of interesting because there's a lot of people who are giving him backlash, whether it's the thing with working with Kanye, etc. But he kind of touches on that on this track when he mentions how some people online, when he goes on a Twitter rant or he has something to say on there, will immediately just write it off as like a drunken rant and say, yo, like, put the bottle down. On the second half of the track too, you have this sick ass guitar creeping in under Freaky's contributions with his feature. And I know I'm glazing, people are gonna say, oh, you're dick riding, but I really just a solid ass single that's getting me hyped for this new era in Peggy's career. And Peggy's posts promoting this track would clarify that the rest of the album was coming soon. In my opinion, the song with Freaky, look, it's not like JPEG Mafia's greatest track out of his entire discography, but to me, it is very much classic JPEG Mafia. You got the funny bars, you got the solid ass production. But some of the reactions to this single by fans and critics alike be kind of interesting. The general consensus that I saw was like classic fucking JPEG Mafia track, hype for the album. But a few people, especially those who have been very vocal about their disagreement with Peggy working with Kanye, they'd have a different reaction to the song. Anthony Fantano, for example, would rate the track on his weekly track roundup, and people were pretty shocked to see that after years of really loving JPEG Mafia's work, he put the track in the Mac column, which was like, Fantano's always been like a JPEG Mafia glazer, like your fucking boy, like always like really high on his work, think he's very talented. Fantano's always been kind of the same way, but he was very much anti-Kanye when a lot of people were rocking with the Vultures album earlier this year in February. He did a whole pump fake review and said how he basically does not like Kanye and he doesn't have any intentions on separating the art from the artist because he thinks he's a piece of shit for his anti-Semitic comments. So with Peggy's fan base being really split and a lot of people criticizing him for working with Kanye, and then Fantano, a longtime praiser of Peggy's work, randomly being like, yeah, this single, which general consensus was pretty decent track, and Fantano being like, it's pretty mid, it just seemed kind of odd. And a lot of people drew the conclusion that Fantano came to that rating of the track because of Peggy working with Ye. I'm not sure exactly if Peggy was talking about Fantano's rating of the single, but on June 18th, he would go ahead and take to Twitter and talk about some of the reactions to this new song he dropped. And he would say this: "Just a reminder, I work with Ye, and I love it. He is a genius, and I learned so much from him for this new album. I really look forward to people judging my music based on who I associate with now, and not what it sounds like." So here we have JPEG Mafia really stirring the pot and starting the whole debate over once again regarding his fans and their thoughts on him working with Kanye. Not talking about Fantano anymore, but if people out there genuinely are going to act as if Peggy's new shit isn't top notch anymore just because of who he works with, mainly Kanye, that is bullshit. But like I said, some of JPEG Mafia's fans are like so fucking heated still about Peggy even associating with Kanye. So emphasizing here once again how grateful he was to work with him, it really pissed a lot of those same people off once again. To me, the biggest news that would come out of this night in the string of tweets was when JPEG Mafia responded to a fan asking, when is the album gonna drop? To which Peggy would say, any day now. Peggy reiterated that same album dropping soon sentiment last Thursday after tweeting about the United States presidential debate. And honestly, he was starting to lose my trust with all this soon talk until he posted a fire-ass snippet to both Twitter and Instagram that I'm going to play for you guys right now. And that really brings us all up to date with all the news regarding this upcoming JPEGMAFIA album. He said any day now, on June 18th, as of this filming, it's June 25th. I'm feeling we gotta be close at this point, right? We still don't have a release date, an album name, any idea for a cover art, and all that really makes me kind of come to the conclusion that I really think Peggy is going to go for a surprise drop. We talked about it at the beginning of this video, but again, going back to that New Year's statement that Peggy put out earlier this year, he revealed that his original plan for dropping the 5th solo album was basically if he could get it done in 2023, he was going to say on New Year's Eve, December 31st, last day of 2023, I'm sorry guys, I couldn't finish the record, I just need more time, and then psych, drop the album right at midnight, January 1st, New Year's Day. I don't know why, I guess he just loves fucking with us. But with Peggy saying that the album is coming any day now, and our understanding of his creative approach, really kind of being like Kanye used to be, the perfectionist who edits everything down to the last fucking minute as much as he can, pushing the album date back. I really could see him just putting the final alterations, edits on this shit, and then dropping it out of nowhere. No promo minus the already released single. No matter what happens with the album release, I am super fucking hype for the tour. And whether it is called I Am Peggy, Lay Down My Life, or some other title, I am super fucking hype to hear some brand new JPEGMAFIA material. I'll definitely do some sort of reaction or review when the album does come out. Hopefully it'll come out soon and this will be my last rollout update video. We'll see. But anyway, we'll have to see what happens if Peggy goes on any more fucking Twitter rants and pisses any more people off. Next, I'm coming at you guys with a ASAP Rocky video for his upcoming album, Don't Be Dumb, August 30th, I believe. And still, of course, I'm going to be putting out a video on The Weeknd and his upcoming project that we don't know too much about, but we know enough details, I think, for me to drop a fire-ass video. So that's going to be coming your guys' way very soon. If you want to follow me on socials, go ahead and check me out on Twitter at DigitalXDWNLD and Instagram, just Casey Culkin. But until next time, hopefully Peggy drops very soon, and I'll see you in the next one.